All right, peoples, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Demetrius Hall, and I'm just a country boy, car enthusiast, just like probably the few people that watch my video. And on today's episode, we're gonna give Jose some love. The back of the Supra, some love. We're gonna give it some love. We're gonna give the back some love, yeah. And what I mean by giving the back some love, we're gonna start with the differential. So let's go over the few components that we will be installing in this episode. Look at what that boy bought, boy. That boy went all the way out. And this dude could have got anything. He could have got an OEM Supra diff. Matter of fact, his Supra already got a limited slip, but he wanted to go just a little bit further, and so he went with OSgiken. This is a US spec. I don't know all the information on it, but I do know that this thing is way better than the other one. I want to say this might be a torsion diff LSD. If you know what it is, comment below. Thank you for stopping by the channel. And not only are we gonna be installing that, we're gonna be topping off the differential with some genuine Mobil 1 synthetic. Gotta make sure you get that 7590. That's what OSgiken recommends. Matter of fact, I think OSgiken got their own fluid. But hey, I think Mobil 1 will get the job done. And then also, we got some rear subframe bushings. These are the bushings that's gonna go in the subframe, but the rear of the differential, the three studs that come out the back of the differential goes into here. That's made by SuperPro, and then it also came with this nice installation manual that we're gonna make sure that we do step by step. And if you read this thing, man, they keep using the word bush, man. This junk got me thinking about gas. This junk got me thinking about like 2001, and it's also got me thinking about how them boys used to do back in the day in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? The 70s, bush was in style, and you know what kind of bush I'm talking about. It came with a couple of washers or spacers. Those will probably come in handy, and then it came with some of this genuine WP grease. I don't know what kind of grease this is, but we're gonna use it. If you have been around for the channel for a little bit, you will remember when we did this same deal on Adam's Supra. The only difference is his was a smaller unit. It did go into automatic, and we ended up using the TRD limited slip instead of the OSgiken. So I'm not gonna bore you with this, but make a long story short, we already removed the drive shaft. In order to remove the axles, you need a 10 mil or 10 millimeter Allen. I use the Allen socket. I got a 1/2 inch to 3/8 reducer, and I use my Milwaukee Ugga Dugga, Old Faithful and Old Truthful. When you take this thing and you put it inside of the bolts that go in there, make sure you put the socket in the bolts and then you tap the socket into the bolt. A lot of times you got grease and stuff in that thing, and if you don't know what you're doing, man, you can easily strip this puppy out. And then if we come around here to the back of the rear subframe, this is the area that we need to cut out, hammer out, get this out of here, remove it, and then we'll be putting our new bushings into here. So also, I went ahead and removed the sway bar, so that gives me good access to hit this stuff back here in the back. Again, these are 3 Allens. So let me go ahead and pull this out, and then we can go ahead and open this differential up and make a video. Hey, look, guys, this is another example of why the 2J, or matter of fact, why the Toyota Supra is such an iconic car. Look at this differential, dude. Look at the back end of that thing, how it's got like these fins or some junk. I guess that helps with cooling. I mean, that mess look like something that you'll find on the Batmobile. Not to mention that this joker is massive. Okay, this is almost about the same size as the Q45 dip that I got in the Nissan. But man, if this joker ain't stout. So let's go ahead and transfer this on the table so we can go ahead and crack the back of this off. When I'm talking about this cover. You ever want to know what the inside of a Toyota Supra 6-speed rear end look like? This is what it looks like. Just visual inspection, everything looks to be okay. This fluid looks a little light colored. I don't know if it had moisture in it or somehow got water in it or something like that. It don't look like it's anything terrible. I did know the same thing. You got like some kind of tapioca pudding right there up that top little corner. It's like some sludge or something, and it's right there by that vent. So I don't know. It don't look to be too much of a concern. But let's knock this out. And real quick, if you haven't seen my other video, we did the same thing on Adam's automatic rear diff. Make a long story short, you got all these bolts here that you got to take out. One on this side, one on the other side. You do got to take that out. And then once you take that out, I want to say there's like a cap or a spacer of some sort here. And then this whole differential comes right on out. All right, now that we got the factory LSD out of the Supra rear pumpkin, one thing I didn't take in consideration is the fact that this one has bearings on both sides, that one don't, and we will need to get some new bearings on this. For the time being, we can at least go ahead and see what we can do about these rear subframe bushings. All right, Speed Ass Garage, I've already taken out one out of the two rear differential, the subframe bushings. In order to get this thing out, we need to make it into two pieces. That's the center section where it actually bolts up to the rear subframe, the rear differential. And then this is the outer piece that for the most part presses into there. So let me show you guys how we're gonna remove this one. Yeah, and we're gonna need this, an air hammer. Flat chisel, put it on the grinder, make sure that mug's sharp to a point. Start off with drill holes. Hey, be careful guys, this mug got juice in it. I don't know if that's Toyota juice or what, but that's kind of cool actually. You know what I'm saying? That juice probably helped like make that mug like not do that. Oh yeah, I forgot to add, you're gonna need you a Sawzall, something like that. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to cut this center section out. If you look right there, it's got like a lip. See that lip? It's kind of hard to tell, but that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get that lip out. Let me show you the lip on the other side too. See that lip? It's like right here on this edge. Basically, we're gonna take that air hammer with the flat side, kind of separate it all the way around, and then we're gonna go on the other side and kind of try to push it here. But before we do that, we also need to take that saw, and we need to cut like a slit right here, kind of down the bottom, and kind of break that. All right, I've got my cut here, cut on the other side. I made sure I made a cut on that little lip, the part that rolls over on this back side. And now what we want to try to do is we want to try to work all this to the center using the air hammer. All right, fam, now that we got both of those removed, as you can tell, there's like a nasty little lip here. So basically all this stuff needs to be cleaned up. You can use something as simple as this, which is like a sandpaper roll, 80 grit. You can use a carbide bit, but very carefully. But the objective is to get off all these burrs, this lip, and then it's always a good idea after you clean this stuff up to hit it with a little bit of like paint. So in this case, we'll hit it with like some flat black or some kind of little mist of black paint to make sure that any of this stuff don't rust. From checking out the SuperPro installation for the Toyota Supra, so now it's asking us, or it ain't asking us, it's telling us to apply this SuperPro special genuine WP grease, and it's asking us to push these things in there from the rear. So you got this one gonna go like this with a little dot right there at the top that matches the right side, looking at it from the back. And then you got this side here. So once again, it wants us to apply this grease onto the outside and use a plastic mallet to tap this mug back into place. So let's make it happen. This stuff feels just like the energy suspension bushing grease. It's like super thick. It looked like dielectric grease, man, but this stuff looked like the same junk that black people, or I ain't gonna say black people, but this is the same stuff that my mom used to put in my head back when I was in elementary school, when I did have a little hair. Yeah, this is just like that, man. This stuff is thick. And he used to put it in my head, right? And then I go on the bus, you know, since it was so early in the morning, I would go to sleep on the bus and I lean my head on the daggone window. And then when I wake up, man, there'd be a grease mark on the window. And you talking about embarrassing, man. That junk was embarrassing. Plus, when you at the bus stop and you sweat, man, you be wondering why all these flies be up on you, man. I think them jokers put something in there that smell like doo-doo. Cause you know flies like doo-doo. I ain't got no rubber mallet, but I do got this. Let's see how this work out. It needs to go this way, guys, this way. The flat side need to be on the inside because the subframe ain't gonna bolt up to something that's got an opening. This side, the hole goes up. Try to get it as centered as possible. All right, guys, now that we got the rear differential bushings installed from SuperPro, now it's time to install our LSD, which is the OSgiken LSD, into the twin turbo rear pumpkin. So it's gonna be a combination of a few things that you're gonna need. One of those things, you're gonna need bearings. You're gonna need 2 of these. There's the part number. I'll put it in on the bottom, or you can pause it to look at it. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need one of these. This here is the 12-ton hydraulic bottle jack. This is what we're gonna use to press those bearings in. Be the first time using this tool. So let's see what we can rig up to get this thing to work. It looks like it's bottomed out. Let's flip it over, do the other side. Hey, y'all remember that Maddox Harbor Freight ball joint removing tool? Well, it came with all these assortments, and guess what? We got the perfect size that fits the outer diameter of this bearing. So I'm gonna put that on there with a block of wood real quick just to make sure it's fully seated. I don't wanna compress this bearing that I put on because this bearing down here sticks out past the actual limited slip. So if I were to not rig something up like this, I would end up basically compressing this piece right here, and this is a critical portion. All right, guys, so now we're ready to install the OSgiken diff back into this TT rear differential. And another component that we wanted to swap out as well is this item here. This is the O-ring that goes on the output flanges. There's the part number right there if you need it. But basically, the way the 2J is on the output flanges, they got O-rings. To be honest with you, we probably could have got away without replacing these, but you know, it's one of them deals, you know, if something as cheap as O-rings, might as well go ahead and replace it. Just that easy. Take that new O-ring, lubricate it with some of that butt jelly. What I do is take it, put it on my finger, and just like that. And a little trick is you take it and kind of like pinch it like that all the way around, and what that does is that takes that twist out of that O-ring. All right, what I'm trying to do right here is I'm trying to make sure I get this thing lined up as best as I can possible, because once I tap this thing on, I don't want to have to take it back off. All right, peeps, off camera, I blowed all these threads out because the ring, these bolts that secure the ring and pinion to the LSD had Loctite on it. So of course all that dried up Loctite is in there. Same thing as if you was putting head studs on, you want to make sure you chase this stuff. You don't want to be binding up on something that's all hard and crusty. So 17 millimeter 12 point is what we're going to need. And we're also going to need some red Loctite. I'm gonna double tap it with this Milwaukee. I trust that more than that Air one. Hey, and just a little tip too, when you install these output flanges, the way I got this thing turned right now, this is the top of the differential. And if you look on the outside of these flanges, it's got an arrow on it. The arrow points up. The reason so, it's got like a hole right there. I'm assuming that hole is kind of like ventilation or whatever the case is. So just make sure you get your orientation right, because once you push that thing in there, these holes are offset in a certain way where this thing don't go on like universal. So just a little food for thought. All right, this is the point where we want to make sure that the gear inside of there is meshing up with this pinion gear. You want something called Prussian blue, Prussian blue. You see it, got it from the local store. The better stuff is the yellow junk, but I couldn't find it. So all we're doing is putting this on like maybe 3 of these teeth, front and back. And then we're gonna put drag on it with a little bit of resistance. I got wood on both sides of the front part of differential, so that when I rotate the front part or the input shaft, that it can rotate freely without, you know, touching this table that it's on. And we want to see what the wear pattern look like. If it's good, we're gonna send it. All right, so what I want to do is I want to turn this thing and kind of hold it. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing it with my hand and I'm rotating this thing. I'll go around 2 rotations one direction, and then I'm gonna reverse it. So now I'm reversing it. All right, it look like on this side, it looks like the wear pattern is right here in the center. Same thing on this. That looks good. Then the back side look like it's closer down to the bottom, but closer to the middle. So now that we got all the blue stuff, taken off, sprayed it with brake cleaner. Now we get to install our back wing rear diff cover. Make sure when you install this that the vent is on the top. And let me show you what we're gonna use to seal it off with. I'm just using some traditional old black gasket maker, or RTV. It's oil resistant, so this is good in my book. And just so you know, a little bit go a long ways. I know that daggone Toyota might have said put like a little thin bead on it or something, but this is equivalent to a thin bead. Wow, look at the finished product. I got all 3 of these Allen bolts tightened up. When you do this rear subframe to rear differential bushing kit from SuperPro, make sure you use the 3 like spacers. I'm gonna call them washers, but they're really like spacers. Make sure you use all 3 of those. And then when I went to go bolt all 3 of these up, this bushing ended up coming from like out here to like right here. And I don't know, man. I know a lot of jokers be hating on the new Supra because BMW worked with them, but BMW, man, they always be using Allen bolts for everything, man. I think they might have daggone secretly did some work with them jokers back in like 95 too, when they built the MK4. And that might be useful to somebody, but that's how much poke we got on that daggone bushing. Good. Hey, well, check that out, guys. That is going to conclude this episode of installing the OSgiken limited slip differential and the SuperPro rear differential to rear subframe bushing kit. Everything went together real smooth. Everybody that daggone made these components made a good product. And stay tuned because we got some more exciting news coming to the channel. Stick around.